All right, everyone, welcome to the fourth game for today. Joining me in the commentary booth is Coin Sola Lasaki. Welcome back, Coin.
Thank you very much, Mushokwe. It's nice to be back.
All right, we are seeing the game starting now. The former world champion Bandaka Akshay going against Honeybun Russell. We're seeing play Trump for his first move, scoring 24 points, leaving, and seeing back to Honeybun Russell. I mean, if you guys would permit me, I'm going to stick with Russell for now. All right, we have YAREDK blank. Are you seeing any options right out of the bat for Russell right now?
Probably daybreak to the A. Yes, that's all I can think of for now.
True. Daybreak for 75 points is very fantastic here. And the case sits on the triple letter score. Weber has high scoring options like markedly through the end of Trump. The downsides to that is it exposes the why for the triple or even just to play to the triple word score. I'm thinking is considering plays like key card, playing through Trampy. That would be sneaky fine from him if he spots the Trampy hook. Let's see what he comes up with. Meanwhile, if you're in the chat and you're rooting for Akshay or you're rooting for Russell, make sure you do leave a comment or you leave a like on the stream. Thank you for joining us. This is the fourth game of the main event in the World English Scrabble Players Association Championship 2025 live here in Accra, Ghana. All right, we are saying Russell take his time. I'm sure he knows there are bingo options available for him, and he just wants to do his due diligence and go for the not just the highest but the optimum move. Yeah.
So do you think he has seen anything to play, or is still looking, or maybe he has seen more than one, and then is just trying to evaluate which of them would be the best to play?
Well, I'm unsure what Russell's style of play is. There are many players who, as soon as they've seen a bingo, they arrange it on their rack, and they consider if it's something they want to play. But we've seen him shuffle the tiles around a bit, so it's unsure to say if he has spotted any bingo. But for a player of this caliber, I'm sure he would come around and spot any of the bingos available for him to play. There are even more obscure bingos such as Hilliard through the A in Trump. And as you rightfully pointed, Daybreak is still playable, key card, markedly, all options available on this plan. One interesting move I'm seeing here would be to play YARKED down from Trampy for 43. Land designator, we can confirm that he has played the fourth bingo, the fourth game of this tournament.
One thing that I find really
All right, back
intriguing
to
is the fact that certain players would just sit.
all right. Sorry for the brief break in transmission there. We are seeing CCLNQST on Vandercar's rack. I'm sure you would have loved to see a floating eye to play a role like CINQ. But the only options they have right now is to play QAT through the A in daybreak for 22 points or exchange. I mean, it doesn't have any bowler right now. So I'm curious to know what you'll do going to like you're in the shoes. Will you play Q80 or just simply exchange these tiles?
I mean, the game is still very early, and so I really don't think there's any need to be holding on to heavy towels. I think I'll just exchange. That's what I'll do.
True, true, true. I think both plays are in strong contention here. There is no outright right answer to that. So depending on which player style they might choose to go for. Q80 scoring 22 points, retaining CC, LNS, hoping to draw some favorable tiles with that. Or you can just choose to swap CCLQ or CCLQ to retaining the N, the S, or the NST. All right, we see an exchange. He retains CST and Honeybun Russell as eight, the second blank of the game, wasting no time, dropping walls. He retains that blank, hoping to bingo with it later on. But right now he's scoring a solid point of 42. All right, we see Akshay, it's Wicchcus. The obvious move right now, as he's rightfully doing, is playing Witch down the T in Waltz. That scores pretty well. I'm sure he's happy about that move, retaining STU, scoring 34 points. Pretty solid. We see Russell here with ICNEID. And thinking back on his once move, if I saw his graph correctly, I believe it was TWZLIE blank, if I'm correct. Coinsola, did you catch that by any chance?
I did not. I'm not sure if that's. No, I did not catch it. I'm not sure if that's an I.
Okay. We'll get to the technical thing to adjust the cameras in a bit, but judging from the 1 point down, I believe that should be ICNEID blank. And right now, I'm sure it's definitely going to bingo with words like indices, looking, day, breaks. The
All
only
right.
drawback is how sure is he that day breaks, this, and S.
Okay, so it just shuffled the styles, and it turns out to be the letter T.
Oh, true, 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 true. Once again, we inform technical team on ground to have that adjusted. All right, so CTINED blank would give him options of Tadic down the P or Tram for 80 points. There are a ton of bingos there available, and I'm sure he's seeing all of them, running them through his mind and trying to decide which one works best for him.
All right, looks like he
All
has
right,
made
we
his
see him
play.
circling the letter. Yes, indeed, he has painted coming down for 78 points. Okay, back to Akshay now. He has PESSTUU. I'm sure he's a bit stumped to see two U's on his rack. In the last turn, he had a rack leap of UTS, and now he's picking an additional U to that. All right, real quick, if you're in the chat and you're just joining us, this is the fourth game of the World Championships happening right now in Accra. And right on your screen, we in fact have a former world champion, Bandaka Akshay, going against Honeybun Russell from Australia. Bandaka Akshay won the World Championships back in 2017, the first time the World Championships held in Africa, it held in Kenya. Then. So we're going to see incredible plays definitely in this game. And as you can see, daybreak coming down from Russell, and immediately in his next turn, is playing the Inter. What a marvelous play from Russell so far. Let's see what else the game has to hold.
All right, looks like he opts for DOPS. Um, that scores 21, leaving ESTU. Pretty strong leave, if you ask me. You know, that's a very flexible rack leave. All right,
Yes, yes,
over
yes.
to Onibon. He has AIINBUS. That's tough. Two I's, AUBN, and the letter S.
Indeed, that must be a tough pull for Russell after his bingo of the Inter. But I'm sure he's glad to see that he did pick the S after that play. So a couple of options currently are a bit uninspiring because there's a lot of good scoring plays right now, except the I mean, looking at this board right now, in fact, not seeing a stellar play going right now. How about you, Connie? What would you do if you were in Russell's shoe?
I would probably play on bias right underneath daybreak. Although the only issue I might have with doing that is burning the S. But then again, from his point of view, two S's are still in the bag. Or I would opt for Wayne. Wayne, I think, scores 21, which is quite fair. I still hold on to my S.
True, true. Yeah. As you can see, he did go for WAIN, retaining his S, and Akshay, wasting no time, playing SUTTEES, looking Gabriel. So, an incredible find from Akshay right there. I think Russell has held, okay, there was no hold there. All right, all right, all right. So let's see what Russell has picked. He has BUEXIES. I'm sure he's glad to see the X on his back on this turn.
So looking at the game, I think three S's have been played already, as well as the two blanks. I'm really interested in seeing how this game pans out.
Yes, indeed. Both blanks are out already, and all the S's are either being played or on the opponent's files or rack right now. All right, we see Russell taking his time assessing the board, and he has options such as Ibex's playing at top, SUTT, or Suit is there, scoring 35 points, retaining the you. I mean, those Scrabble players love to keep the you, but right now, 35 points might be very tempting. Other options are IBEX for 27 points in the same spot, retaining the S. With the scores 212 for Russell to Akshay's 158, I'm curious to see what he decides on here. The drawback to IBEX is he would be setting up a B for IBEX, and there are still two Bs on same. So we might be seeing IBEXs come down, but the drawback is it isn't the last S available in this game.
Mushakwa, would you opt for IBEX or IBEXs? Because personally, I think considering the fact that three S's are out already, as well as two blanks, I would want to hold on to the last S, you know, because it might be very, very useful later in the game.
True, true. But the Vibex threat is too scary. I don't know if I would be able to commit to that one. We can see he has balls of steel anyway and is going for Ibex, even with the fact that there are still two Bs on same. He desperately wants to keep the best styles, retaining his S to bingo on late on his board, which is understandable. The T is still floating, the C is still there, the S even still. Even the newly opened I floater is available and it goes well with the USE leave. I'm sure Akshay is worried right now. He has five vowels and only two consonants, and this combination might not yield so much. And I'm sure he's aware of the Vibex group. And as you can see, Russell has in fact picked one of the Bs. So let's see what he comes up with in this move. Right now, he has options such as IN, I, A, through the N in the Intel, leaving the best leaf of RAIN, but can he even do anything concerning the newly opened hook to IBEX?
I really don't think he can do much, other than the fact that he, I think he has bigger fish to fry. I think he has more things to worry about because two A's, three I's, not the type of draw you want to have in this type of game where you are trading and you need to catch up, So I think it would want to balance the rack and have a chance to come back in the game. I really don't think it would worry much about the Vibex threat.
Very well said. He has bigger fish to fry. As you said, five bowls having three eyes. Two is bad enough already, but three eyes is just absolutely horrible. So we see him separate I, A, and I have a feeling he's going to go for the inner move. There are a lot of drawbacks to that move. The first thing it does is it obstructs the S floater from DUPS. And I'm sure with him trailing, he would have loved to keep that lane open. Or we might even see Asini, ACINI, come down in that spot. But I have a feeling he would want to just play off Inia. Another thing Inia does is exposes the A at top or underneath rather the triple word squad. With the J on saying a word like J, they would easily score in the D3s. All right, I think we saw an exchange on that turn. We recognized that playing the Inya for merely 8 points and taking out his S floater wasn't worth it. So he rightfully exchanges, and we see Russell wasting no time cashing in on the 5x. So these two players have in fact met in WESPAC rated tournaments before, and their head-to-head currently is 1-1. So this is one game that will determine who has a better, record between these two players. All right, we see Akshay draw into Aneroid. Do you see any obvious bingos for him on the board?
Donaries to the S from Dopes.
Yes, we see Donaris coming down. Fantastic choice from Akshay in his last move to exchange the II because if Enya did play, then the S would have been unavailable for this turn. Now we see Russell still has the S, but Wolf is battling with a bit of vowel trouble right now. Euroes. What can he do on this turn? All right, with very limited options for Russell right now, I think he's considering just plunking down O, scoring 10 points at the top right corner of the board, leaving EEURES. I think he could have, went for a lot more points playing OE next to the D and R in daybreak, scoring a bit more points. Or maybe he's worried about blocking that R the R floater rather. He's just trying to stay patient. We see Akshay after his bingo picking a lot of high scoring tiles. The K and the Q has found its way to his rack right now. Although I think it might be a bit too much for him if he had similar tiles to Russell alongside the J and Q. There would have been better opportunities. But right now, they really can't do much with those tiles. I'm seeing plays like flirting through the T in painted to score 26, but that leaves J and Q on his rack. Ideally, Scrabble players prefer, or pro Scrabble players prefer to play out one high scoring tile as soon as possible, leaving the other. But a move where he has to retain J and Q might seem, unnatural for him to do right now. What do you think?
Well, I think playing flirty, keeping just J and Q is not a bad option because that way you get to pick five extra tiles. And I think, yes, we still have a lot of vowels to come from the bag. So it would give him a chance to um, pick vowels. But if it opts for QI, keeping FJLLRY, he just has a chance to pick two extra tiles. And the probability of those tiles being consonants, pretty high.
Yes, yes, indeed. Now he opted for QI scoring 23 points atop Trump. I guess he recognizes the fact that he can't afford to keep the J and Q for next turn. So he's playing one off, hoping to pick favorable tiles alongside that. Meanwhile, we see Russell struggling a bit. Still, even after his play of 4-0, he has a vowel heavy rap right now. We can see him arrange UROSEGA open. There will be an open T for Euro stage. But unfortunately, the T's on the board are not aligned for that bingo. So we'll probably see him balancing his styles here. He has opportunities like GUE to the left hand side of Donnery's, okay, GOUN and EA. He could play a bit longer if he wants, playing rogue in that same spot for 20 points, retaining ES. There are still 35 on centers from his perspective. 28 of those are in the bag. There's still a lot of most the scores currently are Akshay's 261 to Russell's 284. It is Russell's turn to play now, and he can decide if he wants to go for a bit more points or balance his styles perfectly for a chance to play bingo in the next turn. We see the Panasa president, I believe, in the live chat Thank you so much for the support. If you're watching from anywhere in the world, leave a comment, drop a like, and try and share this stream to your friends who are word lovers, and let's witness the amazing plays from the best players from around the world competing in the World Scrabble Championships here in Accra, Ghana. All right, we see him opting for Rogue. I'm guessing he wants to play out as much tiles as he can. Just keeping ES is still pretty solid here. There are still favorable tiles to pick along with ES, and it could come down with a bingo at any time. The T floating and painted, I feel, is will come in very handy later on because EST have a lot of synergy. Back to Akshay, we see him with RATFYJL. You can see as arrange, ratify exactly what he's doing now, scoring 37 points. I think that is an impressive find. If he wanted to, he could play a literal down the E of Sutis, scoring 39 points, leaving FJ. But I'm sure he recognizes that a leave of JL would be a lot better than a leave of FJ. So he plays Ratify for 37 points, leaving JL. With the way this game is going, I know there's still a lot of times to be played. Do you think any of those players is for sure going to win this matchup points? All right, we seem to be experiencing some glitches here. But back to Russell, he has UEFESA, and despite a play of OO in the last two moves and rolled in the last move, he's unable to find a bingo as of now. And he has to decide if he still has to balance his styles. He has CAUF available for him through the C in which scoring 24 points, leaving EENS. Once again, the T in painted must look very enticing to play a bingo through later on in the game. And now a straight seven option is even available to the right hand side of that by maybe hooking RE and AS later on. So I'm guessing it's still the same. A couple of bingos drop on this board, even though actually right now still struggles with the J ball. Let's see. I think Russell is going all out right now, and he may wants to play on safe for 32 points. That's very understandable. He's on 304 to Ashes 298, and with this play, he's going to extend his lead further, leading by about 40 points. And leaving the vowel E, he can easily weather the storm even if he picks a lot of consonants next turn. All right, back to Akshay. We same with BELOVGJ, and with those arrangement of tiles. I'm thinking he wants to play the loves through the ES on the left hand side of the board. That scores very well, scoring 32. He returns GJ, which, as you can see from the last three moves, I believe he has kept the J, but there weren't really a lot of options um, available for him. So, what do you think he should do on this one? Because he still has a word like Job available on the top of the board. Would you go for Beloves or you play the Jobs because you're too tired of seeing the J in your board move now?
Beloved seems like a very solid option to me.
Yes, in fact, Beloved is pretty solid. The G and the J might seem like a drawback, but on the board with the right openings, they could do some damage. And we see that's exactly what Akshay is doing. Fine, he has left the J on his rack for a couple of turns now. I'm sure he's feeling confident that eventually he's going to cash in on that J for a good load of points. We're seeing Russell with a draw. I'm sure he would have broken it. And unsafe was his last move playing out six tiles, hoping to pick, from his perspective, even the J was unseen, so he was hoping to pick either of those tiles and, very lovely consonants with that. But unfortunately, he has seven vowels on his back. I'm sure we either seen an exchange or a really, really low scoring play. What do you think is going through Russell's mind right now?
I really don't know. Uh, you would hate to be in such a situation. All vowels at this crucial point. I think the lead, the is just leading with six, and that's not a lot. So yes, exchanging, please.
Yes, indeed. Um, Looking at the unseen tiles, there are only three consonants, and sorry, three vowels left from his perspective: the A, the I, and the O. So I'm thinking when he wants to exchange, he will think twice about, maybe exchanging all seven. He will definitely want to keep about two vowels to himself. Or do you think he would want to um, retain all the vowels for himself and deny his opponent of having any of the vowels he exchanges? I know it's a wild thought and any player would probably exchange, but it's still something worth considering if you ask me.
Yes, it is, especially because, um, as we can see, the A is the only vowel left in the bag. The O and I are already on Akshay's rack. So I am really, really pumped, and I'm really, really excited and nervous and anxious to see how this ends.
True, true, true. We
Six
are
consonants and
approaching
just
the
one vowel
end
in the bag.
game. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, the end game
We're
would be
seeing
really
him set.
interesting to watch.
Yeah, we're seeing him set aside EI. I have a feeling he wants to exchange the EEOAI. We see on Akshay's work he has JOLDING, nearly perfect combination right now because he has the ing prefix that works well with, sorry, suffix that works well with a lot of bingos, and he still has the JO that could do some damage in certain parts of the board. So I'm sure Russell is a bit stumped here, thinking, oh, what if I exchange all and I pick well, but I'm just helping out my opponent in delivering back some balls into the back for him to pick later. I think if there was a stellar play, let's say something scores in the 20s using up three of the barrels, Russell would have picked that immediately, denying Akshay the chance to pick any of the barrels he has. But truly, there isn't a lot of options unless he wants to play things like Iota through the ceiling, painted, which scores too little, scores 8 points and still leaves 2 high. So there really isn't a lot of options for him. He could play CEE from the C in which scoring extreme points, leaving AEIIO. All right, I think he recognizes the fact that some um, there's not a lot of vowels left in the bag, and an exchange player would simply be helping Akshay, and rightfully just plays OE. I would have prepared a move like CEE there, scoring a bit more, but yeah, we see OE come down. Back to Akshay. What moves do you suggest Akshay plays, especially with the dynamics of the game now?
Honestly, I'm torn between playing the J for 28, something like Joel or Joy. I'm torn between doing that and just playing, let's say, ratifying, keeping on to the J, because the J uh might be what he needs to just steal this win.
True, true. That is a very good observation. Right now, he has options, like you said, JOL to the right of the log, scoring 28, or JOY underneath the W in what, scoring 26. Both moves leaves the ING combination, and with four tiles left in the bag, he still has the chance to pick tiles that would favor him and maybe come down with a bingo later on. But from our perspective, we can see that I don't think there are any, yeah, there are no balls available for Akshay to pick in the bag. So retaining his eye after playing duel, as we've seen, is a really smart choice right now. And the scores are 358 for Akshay to Russell's 352. I think we're officially in the end game now with only 2,000 left in the bag, and it's Russell's turn. I'm sure he's going to take his time making this move.
Usually in the end game, players would start to, strategize and think of how to finish in two moves. But here, where Onibon is having, six vowels and just one consonant, it's a dilemma. It's really tough to see how we can finish in two or three moves.
Yes, indeed. But I think one thing that will be giving him a lot of confidence is the moment he plays out 2000 now, he knows he's most likely going to pick a consonant in the bag. And looking at the unseen tiles from his perspective, there is little to no chance that Akshay can have a bingo. So we're seeing going for AA. I'm surprised he didn't play AI in that spot. Um, Leaving two eyes might be, worrisome as this game commences. But let's see what happens. Actually, as HNNGILD, I think now the end game is going to be a lot tougher because with a move like I think he would have, been well suited to play the end game a lot better. But retaining two eyes in that turn might keep things a bit more interesting. All right, we see Akshay taking his time, most likely tracking the tiles. He wants to know the exact seven tiles that Russell has. And as you can see on the screen, he has Migeei. After assessing and seeing the tiles that Russell has, he's going to think of the highest scoring plays or setups that Russell can make on this turn. For two really experienced master players playing right now, I think they're going to be very, very thorough in this end game. All right, while we watch the players, track their tiles, a quick reminder that this is the fourth game of the World Scrabble Championship happening live right here in Accra, Ghana. There are 126 players representing 27 countries across the world competing for the title. Nigeria, in fact, had the highest quota for players. There are 19 players currently representing Nigeria, and we have 17 players from the United States. We have former world champions in the building in the person of Nigel Richards, who was a five-time world champion, and Akshay Bhandarkar, who is on the screen currently, the winner of the WESPAC 2017. We even have Adam Logan, who won in 2005. There are going to be 32 games played in this tournament, and Sunday, yeah, on Sunday, the top two after the 32 games are going to battle it out in the best of seven.
Looks like Akshay is taking his time to track the tiles very well.
Yes, indeed. A rookie mistake at this stage of the game can be very very costly. So he needs to take his time, and after seeing the tiles available, or sorry, the tiles that are on Russell's rack, he needs to figure out not only what Russell is going to play, but what he himself is going to play and how he will maybe finish in two modes. But as you can see, with only the eye left on his rack, as the vowel is going to have a tough time. Right now, he has classifying available for 32 points. The only downside is it leaves H, L, and D. That move would expose an I next to the double letter score, to the double word square. They'll be hoping to play words like kind or healed later on, but I'm sure Russell is going to, predict that and either go to that spot and prevent him from playing those tiles. And with the combination of tiles that Russell has, I believe he's picked to maybe sneak out a win in this end game. What do you think?
Now, I think if he plays ratifying and scores 32, if Russell goes to, the I spot to block it, it means he would be underscoring himself. Because if he goes there to play something like maybe MIRE or MIRI, it wouldn't score much, you know. And um Akshay would still find his way around that. But I think ratifying should be the move.
Yes, indeed. So the analysis here is if he plays ratifying, scores 32, scores well enough. All Russell has to do is simply block that spot. A simple move of MI down there leaves a rack of GRIEE, which goes out no matter what, either through the D in ratifying for bridge or through the C in painted for grease. So seeing that unfold would be very, very interesting. Ratifying for 32 seems very tempting, but Russell is going to properly assess and see that all he needs to do after that is play MI, blocking a move like kind or healed or Akshay. And Akshay's response after that would be to just extend the MI to like mine, and he will still have the H and the L left on his rack. I have a feeling both players are thoroughly thinking things through. I'm sure Russell is predicting the ratifying move because it's a pretty obvious choice for anyone on this level to see that you can extend ratify to ratifying. Now Shades is recognizing that move, thinking, okay, what if he blocks with MI? What am I going to reply with? It's a really complex end game, and I'm sure these players are going to do their due diligence. All right, we are seeing something completely different. He's going for Eldin down the E of Sutis. I think with that move, it easily gives Russell a play like Regimen, which scores 32 points. But in fact, the only winning move for Russell after this move is to play GITE. Hmm. All right, so I'm guessing the analysis here is GITE is the only move here that blocks the HIN outplay for Akshay and also retains RIME, which can come down later to play a mirror next to the um, Y in ratify. All right. I think we are seeing a very tricky one here. I'm seeing someone in the chat saying dropping AI would have been better for Russell, I believe. Elevate would have been his end game. but you can't really predict what you're going to pick after you play a certain number of tiles. All right, so right now, Russell has to spot GITA because CH is available for Akshay to play. Is what if he blocks the Elden without leaving the best tiles that will finish next turn. And I think we're really seeing a complex endgame here where only one move here wins. All right, all right, all right. So NH threatens outplays in a couple of places. He could play HIN through the I and Elden to finish. The T in painted would have given him the option of MCH, and the E as the blank in painted would have given him the option of HEN. That is why GITE, as Russell has rightfully found, is the only move that blocks every outplay from Akshay in those spots, leaving MIRE, which finishes no matter what on this board. That was a fantastic find by Russell with only about a minute left on his clock. What do you think about this play, Coinsola?
Absolutely brilliant for him to have figured that out. That's amazing. Let's give him his flowers. Such an amazing play.
Yes, indeed. Wow, wow, wow. I am impressed by this find here because first we have to recognize that there is nowhere else on this board that HN finishes. The HIN, NCH, and HEN all blocked by one move that not only blocks it all, but ensures it finishes no matter what on the next turn. I mean, in that sense, what could have played right or MIT, but they would not have guaranteed an outplay in the next turn. Now, the best thing Akshay can do is just play CH hooking HA. But even after that, it would not be enough as the EMIR left on Russell's rack plays MIRED on top of the board for 30 points. Wow, what an interesting turn of events. Wow, we see him spot the perfect end game. What an incredible move from Russell. And I mean, congrats to him for figuring this out. And I think Akshay did really, really well. Elden was the only move that gave Russell a one move win. Anything else would have given Russell certain options to like win the game. But after a move like Elden, is either Russell finds
Yeah, not
GITE
exactly. Yeah,
or he loses the game on the spot. What an
I was thinking.
incredible game this has
Obviously, I
been.
got
We see you in the
mine as
chat.
well, but it's like if
Thank
you
you
have
for
if
joining
there's
us. I
another vowel, but
promise you
it's
there
like
has
if
been
it's
incredible
impossible
plays
because
by
it's
players from all
just
over the
because you
world
got only one
compared
vowel. So
since the
like, and I
first
had
game we've
at
had
one point I had
here.
seven.
And now we've seen
When
a
there were seven in my bag, there
marvelous
were seven
endgame
vowels.
play
So I had
by
seven vowels to my
both
rank.
players.
So
I mean,
that's when I played that.
ratifying
I
is
didn't want to get
something I
rid of
would
the
have played thinking, I'm scoring 32 and all is well and good. But Elden
I think I had
forcing
one A at that
Russell to
point.
find the only move
Yeah.
that would win the game. And as you can see, with very
Yeah,
little
but
time on the clock,
then you're even in a
Russell
worse
did
position.
find
It's like
the move. finishing
Yeah.
with 410 to Russell and Akshay's
Like
400. Imagine
counterintuitively
scoring 30
the
as your
best play.
outplay in a
It's hard.
end
Yeah, it's
game
hard.
that was
It's going to be a harder game for me at
so
least. But
close.
then,
What an incredible play from both players.
well, I play Mide first,
You play Mart first.
and
Yeah.
then I play Tiger Guy. Yeah,
That's the problem.
yeah. The gut was my backup. So, wow. I had the S for so long. I was waiting for this hook here, and I'm like, no. I don't know if I had anything else with this, but I was happy to find it. So,
All right, you can see both players still
good game.
analyzing the
Yeah, good
game.
game.
I'm
Yeah.
sure he's thinking of other options. Or you had
I
played
don't
this,
understand anything.
or would you have replied to it? Scrabble is
Well, you
such
got
a
the only
beautiful
thing you've
game,
got, like I said,
honestly,
I
in
catch it.
guilds.
and you
Yeah.
can only
In
do as much
does in
analysis
guild
as you can, and
I think you're
the
in the same
tiles
position, aren't you?
still pretty much dictates a lot of
It's like
how the game
you
goes.
need
And even at
a
that, you
spot
can
where
still
I mean
see
that's
these
just a magic,
players made
Yeah, it blocks it.
the
very
magic
very
block,
good
yeah,
calculation of what they can do, how they can do
and
it,
and
and you know how
and
to
allows me to
squeeze
kill.
out
And
a
I,
win,
I had to double
even
check
though
that
it
you couldn't
all
play
seems
here,
impossible.
yeah,
Imagine from the unsafe move,
that you couldn't like
almost
fuck that
have
up by like
seen
putting one tile
very
somewhere.
big
I don't think I
for
can.
Russell
I don't
picking
think I win
seven tiles,
unless I
but
get the
him
sequence right.
realizing
Anyway,
that exchanging
obviously.
on that turn would only give back vowels that Akshay could later use to win on the day. So he retained every
The only thing is,
vowel he had there,
I could have played
and he
Joe
was
here as
sure
well.
that
Because
after
I face
every
away
play,
and
he was most
not
likely
stream
going to
anymore.
pick the continent. And he saw how that
I
worked
played
out
Phillips.
for him,
Yeah.
I
and he
get the J and
rightfully
the G.
found the right sequence in the end game to pull out the win.
Yeah, there weren't many. I think there were four vowels. There are four vowels in the bag when you play this, something like that. So I'm like, just if I can keep control of them, then I'll.
Yeah. When I played Joel, I had Ding. So I was hoping to draw.
Yeah, I had the A's and O's. I was waiting for it, so I figured if anything happens here, I'm gonna because I've got the vowels, I'll be able to do something.